9. Cal Jorge, Cruzeiro. A name that might be very familiar with FIFA Football Manager players, Cal Jorge was a certified Wonderkid prior to his move to Juventus in 2021. Coming through the Santos youth ranks, Cal Jorge made 56 appearances for the club, with 48 of those being in his final season at the age of 18. The 9 goals he scored in that last season, as well as his reputation as a highly mobile presser who could link the midfield to attack, prompted the likes of Benfica and AC Milan to try and secure his signature. However, he eventually signed on the dotted line for Juventus in 2021. This is where George's career takes a shaky turn. Instead of competing for first-team minutes like he was expected to, George suffered a serious knee tendon rupture in February 2022 after having just recovered from a thigh injury. This marked him out for almost a year, limiting him to only 11 first-team appearances for Juventus, with most of his time being stuck in Juve's next-generation B team. After failing to score for the club, he was loaned out to Serie A strugglers Frosinone in 2023, where he could only muster up 3 goals in 20 appearances. So his time in the spotlight looked all but up at that point when he signed for Cruzeiro in June 2024 for €7.2 million. However, as his inclusion in this video suggests, you may just want to hold on to your horses on writing off Cal Jorge. This is because after having an initial season that looked reminiscent of his European days of just 4 goal involvements in 16 league games for his new club, Cruzeiro put their trust in Jorge, and it's fair to say he repaid it. That's because now in 2026, Cal Jorge has just scored 21 goals and provided 7 assists in 33 league games for Cruzeiro. And with the ever-creative Matheus Pereira behind him, who's making his own little career resurgence back in Brazil, he's just led them to a 3rd-place finish in the league, securing the Campeonato Brasileiro Golden Boot in the process. After their disappointing 9th and 14th placements in the previous 2 years, this was a huge improvement, and a lot of their success can be put down to the main man up top. While it can be argued that Jorge's breakout season was his last for Santos, I wouldn't. That's because never before has Jorge had a season like this. His previous value is largely put down to promise, but just as that promise looked to be running out, he proved he's something else. Substance. Now he's just 24, and with growing interest from European teams like Aston Villa, Cal Jorge has a pivotal decision to make. Should he return to the continent, which almost cost him a promising career? Or should he seek to emulate the likes of Gabi Barbosa or Pedro, who decided to stick it out in Brazil? With the Brazilian national team looking to recruit more domestic players as of recent, it could be a viable decision to stay. Juventus also have a reported 30 to 50% sell-on fee, which could make Cruzeiro reluctant to sell. Either way, it'll be interesting to see where this future lies. Okay, now let's move on to number 8. Luis Suarez, Sporting Clube de Portugal. Our second striker in this list already. Yes, okay, there's going to be a lot of attackers, I'm sorry. Luis Suarez, no, not that one, presents a slightly different profile to the rest of the list. That's because at the age of 28, Suarez has already played the majority of his professional career. Prior to his move to Sporting, Suarez looked destined to become one of many average La Liga strikers, struggling to score goals in an increasingly defensive league. Interestingly, however, it was his club Almeria's relegation to the 2nd division of Spain that really reignited his stolen career. After 4 straight years of 1st division football, Suarez returned to the 2nd division where he'd initially made his name, and in the 24-25 season, he managed to provide 27 goals and 8 assists. This fantastic effort proved futile for Almeria though, as they finished 6th, failing to secure a return to the top flight. The lack of revenue from being a 2nd-tier club meant that Almeria had to sell, with their 28-year-old talisman being the notable candidate. Fast forward to July 2025, and Suarez made his move out of Spain permanently for the first time in 8 years to join Sporting CP for €22 million, placing the outgoing Victor Gyökeres. It was big shoes to fill for Suarez, as Gyökeres had just finished the 24-25 season with a record-breaking campaign, scoring UCL hat-tricks and securing Sporting back-to-back league titles. But Suarez has stood firm so far for the Portuguese Giants. After 33 appearances in all competitions by early February, Suarez has put up near Gyökeres-level numbers, scoring 25 goals and laying on 6 assists. A notable amount of these goal contributions have come in the Champions League as well, including a dramatic stoppage time winner against PSG, securing his 2nd of the night. It's clear that playing well for Sporting gets your name into the headlines, and one must wonder what the amount of interest in him would be like if he were just 3 years younger. However, he's not 3 years younger, and when he was scoring just 4 goals in 21 games for Almeria in La Liga, a far cry from his output this season. Like I mentioned, a breakout can come at any age, and at 28, Luis Suarez will be happy it happened at all. As for Sporting, his move seems unusual for a club known for developing and selling younger players. However, the fact that their main man is nearing his 30s may prove as a gift for the club, as bids will be less frequent and they can finally build their team around a striker who looks likely to stay. Okay, and with that, we're on to number 7, which is Ibrahim Maza, Bayer Leverkusen. So now it's time for the pure talent to get their very prestigious moment on my list, starting with Maza. The German-born Algerian international is making waves in the Bundesliga this season for Leverkusen, after signing from Bundesliga 2 side Hertha Berlin last summer for €12 million. Also of Vietnamese descent, Maza was born in Berlin, joining the Hertha Academy at the age of 12. After their relegation in 22-23, a season in which he became their youngest goalscorer ever at the age of 17 years and 6 months after United against Wolfsburg, Maza was eventually given a key role in the second division side 2 seasons on, making 33 appearances for them as they failed to clinch promotion. Now at the age of 20, Maza is starring for the post-Xabi Alonso Leverkusen side, primarily playing as a right-sided pivot next to Alex Garcia in Kasper Kjellman's team, despite being a natural 10 or winger, showing his versatility. Known for his flair, creativity, and tactical awareness, Maza has made 14 starts and 10 appearances off the bench for Leverkusen so far this season, as well as 5 appearances in the Africa Cup of Nations, reaching the quarterfinals. This game time has allowed Maza to shine, recording 4 goals and 5 assists in all competitions so far this season, while he is ranked in the Bundesliga's top 15% in progressive carries. So far, Maza has made a great impression in his debut season in the Bundesliga, donning him the nickname Mazadonna at the Bay Arena. These performances haven't gone without notice by Europe's elite sides, with reports of significant interest from Premier League teams and Barcelona. If it weren't for a recent injury sustained in late January, ruling him out until March this year, Maza could have been looking for a quick rise to one of Europe's elite. However, that move will have to wait for now. Maza's season so far is undoubtedly a breakout year for the Algerian, and even with the injury, Bayer Leverkusen's record of developing players despite significant setbacks is clear. Just look at Wirtz, who missed almost the entire 22-23 season after his own breakout year, only to come back twice the player. Time will tell for Maza going forward, but the quality is clearly there for him to become a world-class player. Number 6, Mika Godts, Ajax. All is not completely doomed for Ajax despite their tumultuous recent years. Even with the league title looking completely out the question, Champions League qualification is still certainly possible. This cockroach-like ability to avoid complete collapse so far this season can be placed firmly on the shoulders of young Mika Godts, who has undoubtedly been their best player at the age of just 20, taking on much of the mantle to keep Ajax competitive. Even though he made 40 appearances across the domestic and European leagues last season, Godts' form was inconsistent, only picking up 11 goal involvements. And even though he showed the talent was clearly there, I wouldn't call that enough to be his true breakout year. This season, however, has seen a completely new player take up that left wing position for Ajax. So far, Godts has put up 10 goals and 7 assists in 19 Eredivisie appearances. And while he's flattered to deceive in the Champions League so far this season, I put that down more as an Ajax issue than a personal one. Known for humiliating defenders, Godts ranks in the 96th percentile for successful take-ons in the Eredivisie, taking on a classic inverted winger role as he looks to hug the touchline before using his low center of gravity to shift inside and unleash an effort on goal. Naturally, given his profile, Godts has been subject to comparisons of compatriot Eden Hazard, and while there's still a lot left to prove in that regard, Godts certainly has proved enough to be the face of Belgium's next golden generation. Ajax's reported €1 million move for him back in January 2023 after he rejected a contract offer from Belgian side Genk has so far proved a bargain and a golden nugget in Ajax's mediocre recruitment recently. With teams like Napoli and Tottenham circling a move for the youngster, it looks like Ajax will return a significant increase on their investment if he moves this summer. Ajax are reportedly looking for €40 million, and I have to say, if that price is true, $40 million in this day and age for a 20-year-old putting up numbers like that seems like a bargain. So I really wouldn't be surprised if he did indeed leave this summer, especially considering Godts doesn't seem to be known for his loyalty. Overall, Godts is an extremely exciting prospect, and it'll be interesting to see if he can handle his inevitable big move next summer. Number 5, Lennart Karl, Bayern Munich. The only player on this list who directly graduated from his team's youth academy to make regular appearances for the senior side, Lennart Karl is probably a player familiar with a lot of you by now. Also the youngest player in this list at just 17, Karl has had a super impact at Bayern Munich so far this season. Before 2025, Karl was a relative unknown, playing in his football in Bayern's under-23 side. However, ever since Company trusted him in the first team, the attacker has not looked back. Particularly dangerous in the Champions League with 3 goals and 1 assist so far, Karl has been involved in 8 goal contributions for the German Giants in 28 appearances this season. While the numbers are still impressive for a player of that age, it's been the style in which he's made these contributions that have really caught the eye this season. With impressive efforts against Mönchengladbach in which Karl received the ball in the right-hand channel before moving inside and curling one into the top left corner, as well as a particularly notable goal against Arsenal in the Champions League, the teenager has certainly paid off Company's trust in him. Operating as a fusion between a right winger and an attacking midfielder, Karl likes to find tight spaces between the center back and the fullback where he can use his incredible close control and technique to move into goal-scoring positions or feed passes through for the likes of Kane to get onto. Karl has yet to make any appearances for the German national team. However, Germany boss Nagelsmann has gone on record about the player, indicating that Karl needs more Bundesliga minutes before receiving a call-up. Either way, it seems like a matter of time for Karl before he starts making an impact on the international stage. It did come as a bit of a surprise across social media, however, when Karl went public stating about how he dreams to play for Real Madrid, diminishing his club Bayern at the same time. This resulted in fans calling to have the player drop for the rest of the season, but despite that, company has kept rolling out appearances for the player as the year goes on. So far, Karl is probably the most archetypal breakout star in this list so far. However, I haven't placed him higher in this list simply because I think his impact for his club this season hasn't been as great as the upcoming players. Maybe that's a tad harsh given the competition he's up against, and he might be higher if he didn't have to compete against the likes of Gnabry and Elise for game time. However, I think it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I'm afraid. Okay, now moving from the absolute behemoths that are Bayern Munich, we're going down to a little small club called Brentford, where we visit number 4, Igor Thiago. Okay, I get it. This might be the most dubious inclusion on this list by far, but give me a chance to explain. Okay, so yeah. Thiago, before his move to Brentford, was scoring 18 and 34 for Club Brugge, and yeah, his transfer fee was indeed a whopping £30 million. But I think that pales in comparison to what he's achieving this season. Thiago's 23-24 season marked him out as a good player across Europe. So far, 25-26 has expanded his name to that of synonymity with the word elite. And if you don't believe me or think that the word elite is going a little too far, just look at what the guy's been doing so far this season. 16 goals in 24 games in the so-called hardest league in the world, second in the Golden Boot only to Erling Haaland. That's 11 more than the £74 million signing of Šeško, and 10 more than the £55 million man Gyökeres. Oh, and not to mention a grand 14 more goals than world-class striker Alexander Isak, who has of course had a very troubled time with injuries, much like Thiago in his first season for the Bees, which is ironic as it could very well be Thiago who serves as a bit of redemption hope for Isak. While he may not look it, Igor Thiago is only 24, and the bruising striker known for his athleticism, ball-striking ability, and effectiveness at chasing down long balls may fetch a pretty penny for Brentford this season if the London-based club is willing to sell. If that is the case, there's no doubt that Thiago's next stop would be one of Europe's elite, with plenty of top clubs always looking for a striker summer after summer. There's possibly only one downside for Thiago this season, because even with his side sitting pretty in 7th place so far, and with an incredible 0.66 goals per game, he is yet to receive his first international cap for Brazil. If that happens before the end of the season, there is no doubt that this year has seen Thiago break out from a somewhat well-known player around the fringes of Europe to a household name across the continent. Okay, now we're moving on to the big hitters, the top 3, starting with number 3, Luca Vuskovic, HSV on loan from Tottenham Hotspur. Now, anyone who follows a lot of player development or Wonderkids scouting, I guess you could call it, may already be familiar with Luca Vuskovic and unsurprised with what he's been doing this season. As a Tottenham fan myself, I've been following the kid since we signed him from Ajax Split when he was just 16. He followed that move up with temporary moves to Poland, Belgium, and now Germany, which is where we are today. So for those of you not caught up yet with Luka Vuskovic and what he's been up to this season, you may want to be. The 18-year-old center back is the first and only defender on this list, which is remarkable in itself as defenders usually take a few more years to become big names on the world stage. So far in his young career, Vuskovic has given himself the reputation of a goal-scoring center back, not only because of the numbers, but also the technique he uses in scoring some of these. Just last season on loan at Westerlo, Vuskovic went viral for a bicycle kick he scored against Club Brugge. In his last 3 loan spells so far, he scored 3 and 14 for Polish side Radomiak, 7 and 36 for Westerlo in Belgium, and now 4 and 17 so far for German top flight side HSV. The most recent of these 4 goals for HSV came against German giants Bayern Munich in a 2-2 draw. It's not just his efforts at the other end of the pitch that are catching the eye for HSV though, but one of Vuskovic's other attributes, his aerial dominance. Vuskovic is averaging 5.4 aerials alone per game in the Bundesliga, winning 80% of the duels, placing him firmly in the 99th percentile for defenders. On top of that, in September 2025 against Union Berlin, he became the first player in 5 years to win 18 aerial duels in a single match across Europe's top 5 leagues. The 18-year-old is a phenomenon. I mean, he's already played over 100 senior professional games, as well as having 2 senior caps for Croatia, while he's become HSV's main hope to avoid a return to the German second division. It's so much responsibility for a teenager, and yet he's taking it in his stride. While currently on loan from Tottenham, Vuskovic has stated that he would prefer another loan next season after his time at HSV comes to an end, which is an interesting choice from the youngster. However, I believe it's a testament to his maturity given that in all of Tottenham's faults, their current centre-back partnership in Van de Ven and Romero is probably not one of them, and Vuskovic could find it hard to find minutes next season. Either way, Vuskovic looks destined to make his way to the Premier League sooner or later, where his talent is going to be shown to millions more people. Number 2, Yan Diamande, RB Leipzig. The face of this video and my second biggest breakout star of the season, Diamande is probably the most archetypal inclusion in this list. That's because while Diamande is currently plying his trade with Red Bull's flagship side RB Leipzig, just 2 years ago, Diamande was playing high school football in Florida at the age of 16 with his school Uli Hornets. Despite that drastic difference in such a short time, Diamande's journey to the German city is relatively simple. After impressing in the US lower leagues, Diamande secured a move to Spanish top-flight side Leganes, where he made his debut against none other than Real Madrid in March 2025. After only playing 10 league games for the Cucumbers, where he scored 2 and set up 1, the performances were deemed enough by the Red Bull hierarchy to pull the trigger on Diamande's €20 million release clause. That brings us to this season, where the Ivorian winger is having an historic season so far for Leipzig. In December, he scored a hat-trick against Eintracht Frankfurt, becoming the second youngest player in Bundesliga history to do so after Walter Bechtold in 1965. So far, he's netted 7 goals and provided 5 assists in 19 Bundesliga games, operating both on the left and right flanks for Leipzig, so far becoming Leipzig's top scorer this season. However, like many of these inclusions, the numbers don't tell the whole story. Diamande is explosive. He's currently in the top 5 for progressive carries in the Bundesliga, but it's the way he carries the ball that separates him. At 1.81 meters, he has these long, deceptively powerful strides that make him look like a track athlete who's accidentally wandered onto a football pitch. He's already clocked up a top speed of 36.4 kilometers per hour this season, making him one of the fastest players in Germany. But unlike most speed merchants, he doesn't need a head start. His acceleration is elite, allowing him to shift his hips and leave world-class fullbacks tackling thin air. What really stands out to the scouts, though, is his frequency. Diamande leads nearly all teenagers in Europe for successful one-on-one dribbles, trailing only Lamine Yamal, and he plays with a throwback mentality. In an era of cautious, possession-based football, Diamande is a chaos agent. He's a high-volume risk-taker who will try to beat his man 4 times in a row, and even if he fails 3, that 4th success usually ends with a goal or massive chance created. Saying all that, though, weirdly, Lennart Karl isn't the only player in this list to have some strange social media controversy this season, as Diamande recently went viral on TikTok Live saying, "I want to play Anfield, I'm a big Liverpool fan." This has caused a stir in Leipzig as plenty of Premier League teams battle for his signature. I'm not sure what's in the water with young Bundesliga talents this season, however, it really wouldn't be a surprise if we did see Diamande exit the Red Bull Arena this season. After all, his skill set is one that most teams would love to have. And now it's time for our number 1. Nico Paz Como. Nico Paz's breakout season was arguably last season, I'll just get that out there straight away. However, a bit like Igor Thiago, it's the 25-26 season that has seen Nico Paz transform from a wonderkid to a budding world-class talent on everyone's lips. Statistically, he's been nothing short of a freak this season. As of early February, Paz has already equaled his goal involvement record last year, with 8 goals and 6 assists, leading Serie A in shot attempts, he's in the 97th percentile, and successful dribbles. But those numbers still don't capture the aura he has on the pitch. Standing at 6'1", he has a rare physical presence for a number 10, combining the close control of a smaller playmaker with the strength to brush off veteran Serie A defenders. Under Cec's mentorship at the Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia, Paz has become the complete tempo controller. He's currently creating nearly 3 chances per 90 minutes, and his vision has guided Como, a team recently in Serie B, to a staggering 6th place in the table. It's the kind of individual impact that even Lionel Messi noticed, personally calling Paz a champion with an amazing mindset during the last Argentina camp. It's not every day that the GOAT says something like that about a player, and since making his debut for the Albiceleste, he's already assisted the man and looks like a lock for their 2026 World Cup squad. As amazing as Paz's time at Como has been, it looks destined for the Argentine to return from whence he came this summer. As a part of Como's agreement to bring the player in for €6 million from the Santiago Bernabeu, Real Madrid kept the option to re-sign the player for a measly 9 million euros. Reports have come out this season of a decision having already been made by the higher-ups in Madrid, meaning his buyback clause will indeed be triggered. Paz is going to go from the star man in a team positioned to ruffle up the traditional hierarchy of the Serie A to one of many talents in a star-studded Madrid side. While this could be the typical start of a downfall for many, something tells me that Nico Paz is going to be just fine as he returns home to the Spanish capital. Okay, and that's going to wrap up the list for 25-26's biggest breakout stars. Just a bit of an unscripted outro for this video. This is my first of hopefully many videos to come out on this channel. Since this literally is just my first video, like any feedback for anyone who made it this far would be absolutely wonderful. Literally anything on how it looks, how it sounds, what you want to hear from me. I have a few videos in the pipeline coming up looking into Mexico and why they aren't as good as they should be, Brazil's identity crisis, and some more fun stories from this season. So if you guys are interested in that, then definitely let me know. But yeah, thank you so much if you did make it this far. Like and subscribe, all those things, the classic. And hopefully I'll see you back soon for some more videos. Thank you.